Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Wright, human cartoonist extraordinaire, and welcome to an impromptu live stream. This is so impromptu that I'm still doing these social media posts. I wanted to go live, and then I am going to be sending everything out. So, in case anyone doesn't know what the situation is related to this, I was supposed to be at SPX this weekend, and unfortunately was not able to because on Friday I had a COVID exposure. And something similar actually happened to my good friend Kelci, who was all right. I'll be honest. Kelci was the exposure. That Kelci came down and stayed with me the night before, and unfortunately, the next day started developing symptoms and discovered that they had COVID. So, unfortunately, neither of us is able to go to this con that we've been looking forward to for a while. So instead, I am doing this. In addition, since Kelci has a Crowdfundr campaign that is getting ready to wrap, they asked if I could help out with getting the word out since they aren't feeling up to it right now. But we are live, we are doing this, and we are going to be drawing some dragons, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. Now, full disclosure, while I get this set up, I like drawing fantasy stuff. Dragons are one of my weak points. I actually have a lot of trouble drawing dragons because, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to those things, and animals in general have never been a strong point of mine. So it is something that I am hoping today to see if we can get around. So Kelci's campaign, by the way, you can see the URL at the bottom, is for Dragon Baby Pride Flag keychains. And honestly, it looks like a pretty cool product. And it's also being funded on Crowdfundr, which is a pretty new to the scene crowdfunding service, which, by the way, I can't believe that name wasn't taken. That's pretty crazy. But it's one that I've been looking at, I've been curious about, and I believe this is Kelci's first test run at trying out this new platform. So I highly recommend you support them. It has already made goal, but it does not have long. I believe less than a day left in the campaign. Let me double check that, actually. What? I don't have a window open for it. It's almost like I'm completely unprepared. Let me go ahead and bring that up. Yes, let's see. They'd only asked for 100. It was a quick test. Hey, glad you were able to make it, Jessica. How you doing? Looks like they've raised $168 out of the 100 they'd asked for, and there are only 33 hours left in the campaign. So if you haven't backed it yet, now's the time to grab it. It looks like it's going to be great. Working. Well, now I am too, so we can work together. And let's get to drawing the dragons. Actually, let me try this alternate view. Yeah, this will be fun. So like I said, I have trouble drawing dragons. There's a lot of moving parts on these things that I don't understand as well as I feel like I should. I like how Kelci does it and tends to keep it pretty cutesy and simple, and I always try to go for the slightly more realistic style. Also, I never like just doing I don't even know what a basic pose for a dragon would look like. Maybe a side shot? Why don't I start with a side shot? I've actually never done that, so I'm going to start drawing basic frame, figure it out. Hey, Kelci, I'm glad you were able to make it into the call. How are you feeling? Yesterday was kind of harrowing, so just need to check in with you, make sure you're doing okay. Let's see. People very often tend to base dragon movements on cats or dogs. Jessica says, hey, Kelci. No one told me I would sweat this much. I am constantly damp. Thankfully, that part hasn't started for me. And otherwise, I'm just very tired. I actually did wake up this morning with a sore throat. So whatever strain of it we got, very fast acting. There's no way you could have known this was going to happen. If I was exposed less than 48 hours ago. So, whatever version of this is, we were working with, it is definitely fast acting. But so far, that's only been my only symptom, and I'm taking care of myself. I'm isolated. I've got plenty of food. Everything's good. Normally I like working with squares. I think this is the wrong shape for what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to close you out. Yeah, I was struck by how quickly this hit. Ow. Yeah. And the crazy thing is, like, we're vaccinated. Like, we've actually been safe and taking all the normal precautions, and it still hits like a truck, doesn't it? This is actually my first time getting COVID. And also, technically, I haven't officially tested, but Kelci tested when they started feeling sick, and it's pretty much guaranteed this is what I have. Draw with squares and triangles. That helps when I draw dragons. I'm going to need to try that. Vaccinated and still hit like bricks. Yeah, imagine how much worse it would have hit if you weren't vaccinated. That's what's been helping me. All right, so triangles. Just to get the basic shapes. It would have the head going forward. It's almost bird-like the way I'm picturing it. More square. Let's do like the kind of high shoulder blades that things like cougars and stuff like that tend to have. Yes, more bird-like dragons. I was going to have it be have its legs forward, but I think we just made it a 3/4 angle dragon. Let's see what happens. I am going to give the pouncy feet because I think that's more appropriate for a dragon. And let's get some room for the tail. So I'll just have it swish. I'm going to move everything over a little bit. By the way, I hope I don't sound too husky. I'm drinking tea, doing everything I need to do. I'm going to curve the face a little bit. The face is almost getting horse-like, which is interesting. You sound sick, but not too bad. I hope you both have a fast recovery. Thank you. The funny thing is, this is the first time I've had anything since 2019. Like, anytime anyone says that masks don't work, I'm like, I haven't even had a cold in a couple years. So, I'm ahead of the game right now. At least you can talk. My throat hurts so much I don't think I can talk. That sucks. Yeah, I was thinking I should invite you to jump into the stream if you felt up for it, but sounds like no. Just going to do basic kind of bullhorn style for these. That's one of the big problems I tend to have with dragons, besides the positioning of the body. Figuring out how these damn horns work. It's always a challenge. So glad I decided not to go to SPX in hindsight. That was a hard decision. Like, when we got those tests and saw what was happening, like, knew what was up, it's one of those situations where you know what the right thing to do is, but just making yourself do it is incredibly difficult because you want to go to something like this so badly. We've been looking forward to SPX for months. Like, this was going to be the show of the year for me. But it's one of those things where, you know, life happens. Hardest decision ever, but glad we made the right call. Still hurts. Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things where, in the interest of both public health and, you know, our own health, because we don't want to get sick in the mid, like 6 hours away from home. That would have been awful. Feel bad that I made you bow out. You know what? Completely not your fault. Like I said, this seems like a really fast working strain of COVID that knocked us both out. Because I'm like, I started kind of noticing what I think in retrospect might have been symptoms last night. So less than 24 hours from exposure, I started having symptoms. You could not have known that this was what was happening. So yeah, it's all good. I fully intend to go next year. And actually, shout out to SPX. They were fantastic about this whole thing. We managed to get in touch with somebody, even though the con was literally just about to start, and were able to get, and not only were we both able to get told we'd get refunds, I also talked to them about it, and they're going to be giving me an invite table next year. So I'm going to be able to attend, even though SPX typically does lottery and it's tough to get in. So, you know, props to them for supporting the health of their community over anything else. Like, that's really nice of them to do. Focusing too much on the head. Let's see. But yeah, yesterday, after we found out what happened, what the situation was, we started doing, I talked to my dad, who's a doctor, and one of the things we realized was I am the very least not contagious yet. So I ran out to Costco and stocked up on foodstuffs and gave some, you know, went out and got some stuff for Kelci too. And we were able to together, like, you know, get fully stocked up. And we are prepared for a long haul now. Also, to clarify, like, Kelci did end up going back home. Like, Kelci is not here. I can't just go into the side room and be like, "Hi, Kelci, you're chatting to me from 5 feet away." Let's see. I was worried about your food situation. No, we're good. I'll tell you the one annoying thing. I bought a bunch of bagels, which I very often eat with cream cheese and prosciutto, and then realized last night I'm almost out of prosciutto and I didn't buy more. Ramen and chicken broth is the best damn thing ever. I'm gonna need to try it now. Like, you were talking it up, and I think now I'm gonna need to see what the hype is all about. This dragon, by the way, will eventually have wings. I'm just doing the base body first. Now, I made the back legs a little short, but I think I'm going to make them very muscular. Let's see. But yeah, my general feeling and my hope is that I don't have any of the crazier symptoms, but I'm not too worried about getting COVID at this point. I'm generally in good health. I'm quadruple vaccinated. My hope is that I'll be able to weather this storm pretty well. And it's one of those things where we pretty much knew at this point that whether or not, it's not if you're going to get COVID, it's when you're going to get COVID. And I think this might be, the timing kind of sucks just because we had to back out of an event, but it is one of those things that just can't be helped. Thinking about it, I think I've done the tail wrong. I need to look up other animals' tails, but I know that like the base is like right at the top of the pelvis, I think. It, like, we always think of them as coming out of the back of an animal, but it's really on top, isn't it? Wonder if I can just, oh, I don't have, there we go. This would actually be a great time for some of my furry artist friends to show up in the chat. Too bad I announced this fairly last minute, but I kind of wanted to see what that would do. I thought it would be interesting to have a stream that meant to rotate. Just to have a stream that kind of got announced the last minute and see what would happen. It's going to look weird having the tail that high. It doesn't feel right. Hold on, I'm going to look up pictures of dragons. See what they do and what other people do. Wow, I have a lot of windows open. Okay. A lot of dragons. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I just thought of something. Like, this is probably going to get a little too much into this is probably going to get a little bit too much into dragon anatomy stuff, but it occurs to me if it's a lizard, it probably has a cloaca or something similar. So the tail actually could be significantly lower because it's not like a cat or a dog where it needs to be above. Situate the tail as an extension of the tailbone. Yeah, I think I get that now. Looks like a camel Wendigo dragon creature. I get that. Let me get back to the actual thing. I'm gonna put it back where it was because I do think that's actually more accurate. Accurate in a fantasy creature. But yeah. What's interesting is for a lot of them, the tail actually kind of extends down here. Like it's much thicker than I was thinking. Because effectively you'd have the waist and sex organs right about here. And since it's a single multi-purpose orifice, that would actually make a lot of sense. I think, anyway. And just because I like to give them the ridge, let's get that sharp spinal ridge going all the way down. Make it significantly bigger on the actual body. And then, if you're not making sound effects, you're not drawing correctly. All right. So here's another question. Front claws. Do you give them kind of opposable thumb claws? Because sort of that's my instinct. You always picture dragons being able to grab. But I'm wondering if it's strictly necessary or if it's something that you're better off without. Also, I'm going to put that in there because the underside of the neck often is depicted as more lizard-like. And the belly is softer. I'm going to start with the claws. Let's do. Oh, wait. It wouldn't be there, would it? Let's do one high claw, kind of raptor style. You can do like Jeff Smith with bone and give dragons human hands. Yeah, I mean, it's not that different from how it's done in a lot of fantasy. Like they're claws, but they're... There we go. I like them having one big toe. Oh, hey, Mom. 5 COVID tests will arrive on Monday. Thank you. I was almost out of COVID tests. All right, let's see. So it would need to be clawed. And as far as I'm aware, most lizards don't have retractable claws. I know what I'm going to look up. Hold on. Let's do bird talons. That's exactly what it should look like. I don't know about anyone else, but when I see... Whenever, a lot of times when I see birds moving around, or especially some of the larger ones, I always go, hey, dinosaurs, cool. So one of the fingers will basically be going out the back. I may need to change the back feet to match, but I like this idea. Yeah, I can work with that. I'm going to get rid of one of the toes so that it's 4 and 4. Okay. Well, we haven't done wings yet, but I think we've actually got... Oh, habit I saved. You know what? Why am I apologizing for saving? Let me actually go find a good place for this. Where should I put this? All right, I'm actually going to do another layer to do the... Wait, why are you not letting me move you? Oh, somehow it got switched. Here we go. I'm going to do a new layer to work on the wings, because that's going to be a little bit trickier. So where would the wings be? Strictly speaking, wings on most creatures would go where the arms would, but we're giving this thing arms also. Okay, I think what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to do a quick sketch to show. Let's say this is the view from the top. These are the shoulder blades from these legs right here, I'm thinking the wing joint would actually be right about here. So it's kind of on top, but it's farther back a little bit from the actual arms. The usual method is wings as extension of the shoulder blades, which I get, but because that's what it would be on an actual bird or something like that. But when you have an extra set of limbs, like that's tough because the way your shoulder blades move affects the way your arms move. Like in theory, they would not be able to move their arms while also moving their wings. I think like right there, that's going to be the sweet spot for their wings. I'm going to go. Do I want to go bat style? Everyone goes bat style. You know what? It's probably going to make drawing it a little bit easier. I'm going to go pterodactyl style, which means the claws at the top, you actually get extras. I'm making it 4 fingered, so it's only going to be 3. And the wing itself, a particularly long, extended pinky bone. That's about where Spyro's wings are, so good call. That is a good reference. I actually never played one of the Spyro games. I didn't have PlayStation back in the day. I do now. Be a lot thicker up here. I'm going to say that yeah, figuring out where this stuff goes. The original Spyro trilogy is my childhood, bro. Mine's probably Zelda. I was a Nintendo kid for years. Let's see. There we go. All right. I think that's actually a pretty good dragon. Definitely better than definitely better than most dragons I've ever done. Yeah, let's get this sucker inked. See what we can get. Make a penciled folder. Yeah, thinking about the anatomy of dragons feels a little bit like an argument that, or a discussion that comes up in my D&D group quite often, where we talk about how stupid the concept of the centaur is. Centaurs are awesome. Don't get me wrong. Whoever came up with them did not think through the idea of what this creature is and what it would actually look like and how any of the biology would work. Which, I mean, that's the case for a lot of monsters out there, but the centaur we tend to find particularly funny. I actually kind of like the smooth head for the dragon. I typically do very craggy. Honestly, the way I learned to draw a lot of dragon heads was some of the very early Critical Role art, how they drew Tiberius. Because I actually did a fan art piece that had a bunch of the characters and had to draw Tiberius's face up close. And learning to do those spikes was a big part of how I learned to do any kind of lizard creature, notably dragons. Like, you still see some of it in the side of the face right here. But I like that it's overall much smoother. I like that it almost looks like he's smiling because of the way the face is cut. I also like to do a spiky brow ridge. Right over the eye. Let's go ahead and give it a slit lizard pupil. Let's see. By the way, while you're in the chat, Kelci, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've got going with these Baby Dragon Pride Flag keychains? Let's hear it from the actual creator. I need to clean up these horns. Yeah. There we go. We reached our initial goal. We're working on stretch goals now. Last I saw, you were at 168% of goal. Our next stretch goal is making baby dragons printed the colors of the trans pride flag. That's pretty awesome. What colors are available right now, by the way? There's a line there I don't remember making. Yep. I feel like I'm in a bit of a... Yeah, I'm in a little bit of an undo cycle. I'm going to try not to do it too much. That's a thing digital artists do a lot, where they just start hitting undo over and over again because it doesn't look quite right. And you can, so you abuse it. So one of the things that I haven't been doing when I design dragons, and I'm seeing now that I need to, is you really want to taper the two ends. We unlocked the Philly version of the LGBTQ pride flag. What's the Philly version? I don't know this. Let's get to that. The Philly version has the base pride flag plus black and brown stripes represent people of color as part of the community. That's awesome. I'm surprised that's specific to Philly, but I take it has wider reach than that. Let's see. So one of the tricks when drawing any kind of animal is figuring out how the comparative anatomy works. Because I always like to use the horse as an example. The horse, the way it moves feels like it makes no sense. If you really study it, you can figure it out because in principle, the horse is at mostly the same parts as a person. They're just differently sized and differently positioned. I remember studying horses to try and understand exactly how their legs worked. The reason their front legs look so weird is where you think the end of the shoulder would be, like the shoulder joint. It's actually at the end of the humerus, or not humerus. Yeah, humerus. It's been a while. It's this bone. Like basically it's almost pretty much right where the elbow is where you're in your brain. You think the uh, shul- uh, shoulder joint would be. It's called the Philly Pride flag because it debuted at a Philly Pride Fest. Oh, but yeah. So whenever I'm doing this kind of stuff, I do try to figure out the comparative anatomy of a lot of it. Like when I was just doing the arm, and I was thinking about where the bicep and tricep are, uh, how it have enough of a joint to move. Which, again, fantasy creature, it could probably figure it out even if you don't do all this. But there's a certain level of realism, and honestly, it's fun too. So let's see. I've been promoting a lot of Kickstarters and crowdfunding campaigns on this channel lately. We've got our big one for Canon Right coming up very soon. We're just getting the finishing touches on everything. And hopefully, once that launches, you'll be seeing a lot more streams from me. I've already been streaming once a week for game stuff, but we'll be hopefully doing some of the interview stuff and things like that over on various channels, actually. Horses run on the equivalent of one giant toe. Horse anatomy is weird. It's true, but once you start to kind of understand why it's weird, it's a lot easier to figure out. The galloping pattern, that's tough. I don't know if you ever look at like old artwork where artists are depicting like cavalry charges and stuff like that. Part of what's kind of funny about it is that the horse like looks like it's running the way a cheetah or something runs, like galloping like this instead of the like crazy pattern that is more accurate. They didn't really understand how to capture that crazy pattern until some of the very first video footage was taken. Because one of the early things they did was a jockey on a horse. I apologize. I don't remember the jockey's name. I know this is a big point in a lot of, this is a big point because I remember that the horse got a lot of credit, and the jockey, who was a person of color, got for a long time pretty much no credit and got forgotten, but the name has been recovered. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, though. Highly recommend looking that up, though. It's something good to know. And that was one of the very, very, very first big things that was filmed when the first video cameras were created, or film cameras. This predates the concept of video, technically. So when I was first moving to Columbus, one of my good friends out here, who'd been a friend since college, Ian Klesch, his daughter was about 2 or 3, and he happened to mention to me that she was going through her horse phase. And I was like, as the uncle who draws, I'm going to need you to get her interested in literally any other animal because I don't want to have to draw horses. But knowing that it was a distinct possibility that I would have to now, I decided to go ahead and look it up. Oh, excellent. I assume this is a link to the video I mentioned. I'm going to leave that up for a hot minute, just so anyone who's interested can put in that URL. I'm not going to bring it up while drawing, but I will. Actually, I'm going to type in a note to look at it later. Got it. It's the details on the original analysis. Rather interesting. Yeah, like horse movement is fascinating. It's tough, but if you can get it down, I like the idea that most of the toes are kind of back like that, but it's got the one raptor-like claw that is a lot higher and curved more for pouncing and tearing. Made it leaner towards the back, which I kind of like. So one of the things that I suspect has affected a lot of dragon art, they tend to make them sort of back heavy. It's kind of common to have a dragon where, kind of a gut, like fat towards the back. And I think a big part of that came from old illustrations of dinosaurs, because a lot of 20th century fantasy art would have been influenced by that. And the fact is, until more recent years, we were drawing things like T-Rexes wrong. The T-Rex was often drawn kind of in the Godzilla pose, where it's completely upright, the tail is dragging along the ground, and it's kind of like a heavy gut type thing. The actual T-Rex would have been more running horizontally, like feet right in the middle, and with a tail that would be used for balance. But for years, the art that was out there didn't have that. Making lunch right now, and if you guess I'm making anything other than ramen and chicken broth, you are incorrect. I need to try that. Like I need to get some of those ramen bricks because they looked very good when I picked them up. But yeah, there's actually a book. I can't remember what it's called, but it was a book of dinosaur illustrations. There's one or two of them, and through the entire 60s, I believe, most mainstream cartoonists use this book as a reference for every single dinosaur that went into a comic. And when I say a reference, I mean they straight up copied the the images that were in this book wholesale. Like if you look at some of them, it's very funny because you can actually see that there are basically two T-Rex poses that keep getting used over and over and over again. Just at different sizes and with different contexts around it. I kind of like the idea that of doing a D&D setting where dragons went extinct because uh, they had the significant problem of having hollow bones that could be broken very easily. That would be very funny. That looks wrong. That still looks wrong. I think I did the first line wrong too. All right, I need to go from the other side because I need to get it at the exact right spot. There we go. I am really not liking that. I tried something a little different. It's kind of cheating, but I'm working digital. Who cares? Gonna scooch up a little bit. There we go. So you know what? Let's have it connect about there. So it's a stretchier membrane. Can go out flatter. So an issue that's been coming up a lot in a lot of the art circles I'm in is the stuff related to AI created art. And doing this digital edit just now reminded me of it. In case anyone, for whatever reason, doesn't know, there have been AIs that are starting to be able to generate artwork, and there was even a situation recently where someone won an art contest prize using AI generated art. And it's causing some controversy and causing some conversations to happen. My personal stance, and of course, as things change, this might change. I'm not too worried about it. Though I feel like this is the same argument that comes up every time new art technology becomes available. There are people who say, "Oh, this is going to ruin everything," or "This isn't real comics," or "This isn't real," whatever you want to go with. And in the end, this is all tools. What's Kelsey's opinion? I don't trust AI generated art. The art it samples uses old art that reinforces racist ideas. That's an excellent point. I know about the using art, but that's a particularly interesting point. I think right now, with it in its infancy, it's not something I particularly want to play with, but I do think it's technology that in the long run is going to end up being something that artists can work with and that can help. Like, when I still know people who cannot stand digital art, who think that it is awful. Or I remember I had a classmate at CCS who saw a professionally published thing that was, admittedly, the art in this was kind of weird, but it did have a crowd scene that had been drawn digitally, and a couple of the pencils for people had been copied and pasted to fill out the crowd. I remember him pointing it out and screaming, "That's not comics." Which, I mean, technically it is. You can complain about the art all you want. That's not going to be the case. I think in the long run, we're going to find ways to use AI that's just going to be a tool for the artists. Blah, 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 gatekeeping elitist, blah, blah, blah. Just enjoy what you like and ignore what you don't. It's like people who complain about watching a video on a topic they don't like. Just don't watch it. Yeah, 100%. It's interesting because, like, I thought about it because of the line that I just changed using digital techniques. What's it say? AI-generated comics are either boring city landscapes or Lovecraftian horrors, so make of that what you will. I have seen a few that have faces in them, but I also understand that an artist has gone in and touched some of it up. But yeah, I've seen some people say that they're worried that AI-generated art is going to completely replace artists, and I don't see that happening, because especially not in comics, because a big part of how the art fields work is, when you get right down to it, as much as you're selling a piece of art, you're also selling the person who made it. That is the greatest product you have. As someone who helps organize anthologies, I can very much attest to this. It is 100% something that is true. Like, you can enjoy the concept behind something all you want. At the end of the day, a lot of people are going to buy it because so-and-so made it. And until that changes, I don't see AI being a major threat. And that hasn't changed for thousands of years. So, well, let's say Renaissance, hundreds of years. My one concern would be if the backlash against this completely kills the possibility of the AI thing getting better. I doubt it's going to happen. There are going to be people who always want to push this stuff, but I am curious to see what ends up happening with it. And I'd like to see it start to become a useful tool for all artists. I'll go for almost anything you, Kelci, Angela, and CB create, since I know I'll probably like it. Yeah, exactly. Like, it is very much one of those things where when you get right down to it, a lot of the choices we make are based on the individual creators more than the tools that they use. Like if Stephen Gamel, like I love doing graphite wash, and I learned how to do it from looking at Stephen Gamel's work. But if Stephen Gamel did something digitally or did something with watercolor, I would check that out because Stephen Gamel is cool and does really cool work. I remember noticing when Junji Ito switched to digital. It kind of threw me at first, but I mean, it's still Junji Ito. It's still incredible horror stories. Graphite wash is so amazing. Yeah, I love it. It's good stuff. Um, so I actually, while we were talking, I have a dragon. Let's take a look at this all the way out. Honestly, this is working pretty well. Oh, I'm happier with this than the majority of dragons I've ever drawn. Uh, I feel like he's a little scrawny, though. I'm gonna do the underbelly. Those forearms are so thin. Yeah, I'm thinking I need to beef him up a little bit. I was kind of thinking like more of the uh, predator animal style. Let me look up, because one of the things that's great about Dungeons and Dragons is they have a lot of good dragon art. Uh, some of which is from the side, like this one. So I want to get a good look, see a good example. Yeah, even when they're lean, they're beefy. Spend too much time in their lair counting their treasure. Yeah, I'm going to beef out the arms a little bit more. I'm going to do it with, like, try to do it with actual musculature. So we've got the shoulder. The tricep would be out more. Let's have it connect a little bit higher, a bit like a horse, not quite a horse joint, but make it connect a little bit higher. Give the forearms more. Not exact, but that's better. I estimate this to be a young adult dragon. That'd be my guess. In D&D, the age of the dragon's a big thing. So, you know what? I was just thinking what color I wanted to make it. And while I wasn't necessarily originally designing it to be, I think this sucker is going to be I believe it's a brass dragon. Hold on, let me double check. Uh, they're bronze, brass, and copper dragons, and I get them mixed up. Uh, but one of them is actually my favorite dragon type uh, because they are typically friendly and they are typically chatterboxes. You run into them in the desert, and if they and they'll talk your ear off, and if you try to leave before they're done talking, they have a sleep breath weapon. They'll put you to sleep, and you'll wake up buried up to your neck in sand, and the conversation will continue, which I find hilarious. I want to say it's a bronze dragon. No, it's not bronze. Let's try brass. This sounds correct. Yep, brass dragon. This one time at Dragon Camp. I mean, we were discussing that they probably had cloacas earlier, so yes. Um, looks like it is the brass dragon. So I'm going to go a little bit more dull than the color I grabbed. Let's do maybe that. Wanted to be a little more yellow. Do that. Also, the fact that he looks like he's kind of smiling feels appropriate. Bree keeps pacing and howling at me. She knows something's up. You mean because you're feeling sick or because there's a dragon on the screen? By the way, my go-to brush these days for doing color is a transparent watercolor on Clip Studio that has some really nice blending features. Here, I'll actually show. Let me bring up another color. So right now, got a purple there. But if I try to draw right in the middle of here, it just kind of blends the purple in with the layer that's already there unless I really work it, in which case more comes in. And then I can stretch it and blend it into there. I really love that. Bree knows I'm sick and she doesn't know what to do. Poor kitty. Uh-oh. Did I? Oh, there we go. I was in the wrong thing. Let's see. Probably going to doll up the claws, make them look more metallic, but actually need to be some scale effects that I'll have to figure out how to do. Let's see. Periodically, she'll let me pick her up and she'll start purring. I think she does that to try and help me feel better. That's really nice. Nah. This will be a good base color, and then I'm going to do some highlight work to make it seem shinier. He just needs to cuddle the devil out of you. I like that. Let's go. There we go. It's okay that this is a little patchy. I'll be cleaning it up in a second. I think it's time for more tea. I just heard myself. I'm getting husky. Oop. There's an eraser. There we go. Let's do Get the horn. Something about yellowish bones is spooky. Actually, I have a fun idea. To fill that out a little more. Let me go ahead and get the claws. Clean up that outside. I want to do a quick thing with the eye, but I need to switch colors. Do I do the spines in the same color too? Let's do that. That seems pretty cool. I actually switch tools to do these. Just make life easier. Less blending for. I think these will be a nice little highlight. There we go. All right. I also used yellow in the eye. Oh, little finger claws. Let's get bat, 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 bat. Eyes good. Let's go for a deep black. I like that. A black sclera. Some of that cleaned up. You know what? I'm going to use that yellow to make the underbelly a little bit lighter. But because it does that blending, it's not going to be a full color change. Just enough to look a little bit cleaner. Now, I feel like the wing should be darker than this base color. Let's go for a. That'll work. Let's try. It's gonna. Come to think of it, is it weird for it to be dark? Would it make more sense for it to be light because it's a thin membrane of skin? Let me see how others draw it. You know, people seem to be mixing it up. You know what? I just realized what I want to do. Let's look up that brass dragon again. Because what type of breath weapon does it have? That would be a cool thing to influence it. In the artwork, the wings are darker and they have blue flecks in them. That's kind of cool. Fire breath and sleep breath. I'm going to stick with this color, but I have an idea to kind of make it cooler. Oh, shoot. It's like, why is this coming out so weird? Had the wrong tool. Let's get it up like that. Let's make it go about there. Try antiquing it, like how the Statue of Liberty was gold, but now it's faded blue. That's a great idea for a copper dragon, actually, because copper oxidizes. Wow, I just checked back in and it's a recognizable dragon. Thanks, Mom. I'll take that. But actually, what I'm going to do. I think this is going to work. And if it does, it's going to be very cool. I'm going to find a good. Let's do darker than that, but that's the idea. Almost like that classic rust color. Probably should have done this in a separate layer because this is experimental, but if I screw up, I'll go back and fix it. Fun fact, if you read The Legend of Jamie Roberts, Chief Matek's hair is oxidized blue because he's an aged copper dragon in human form. Sweet. That's a great, like, I love that idea. Let's see. One of the things that's funny about dragons, for anyone who's not into D&D, there is a big thing where the color of the dragon scales has a representative thing for their personality, which I'm wondering if that'll eventually change because D&D is moving away from a lot of that type of thinking. But I am kind of curious. Will that? Oh, yeah, this is doing what I wanted it to do. Cool. You know what? I take it back. That's not what I want to do. Let me try using the brush. I was avoiding it because I thought it would be too much, but yeah, that's actually working better. There we go. See, I'm trying to make kind of this fade transition between the two. Let's get it more like that. Didn't pick up on that. His daughter's hair is still copper because she's young. That really is a cool idea. I never really thought about the different metallic colors of the dragons being uh, reflective of actual metal. I just thought, oh, they're considered shiny, so they're called metallic, and based on whatever color it is. I find it also funny that they weren't like, oh yeah, this is these are various brown dragons. So we've got brass, we've got copper, we've got bronze. But yeah, in D&D, dragons, for whatever reason, had a big split uh, thousands of years ago. And they're split into the chromatic and the metallic dragons. And because a lot of morality is and alignment is built into character designs, especially back then, the chromatic dragons were various forms of evil, and the metallic dragons were various forms of good. Now, that's something that can absolutely be switched up, and honestly, I encourage it because it makes for more interesting storytelling. But it is sort of why there are all these different types of dragons. Also, they all are basically different species with different types of breath weapons. Um, like not all of them breathe fire. Some breathe shoot out bolts of electricity from their mouth. Some can breathe poison smoke. Some breathe ice. Let me clean up that one spot. I actually really like that. Let me actually get some more of the red in there, or the kind of magenta, because I need to make the two wings match. You know what this kind of looks like? If you've ever seen metal that got warped by heat or things like that and isn't perfectly smooth, it sometimes has like these crazy colors that come out of it. That's what this kind of feels like. In D&D, the chromatic dragons follow Tiamat, the goddess of chaos, while metallic follow Bahamut, a lawful good deity. Yeah, I switch up a little bit because I usually end up in homebrew settings. There's an interesting one that I'm in right now, the Ferlausen setting by my good friend Arian McRae. But one of the things that comes up in that is that a dragon's colors will actually change based on its alignment and personality and all these different things. So green dragons are commonly associated with greed and selfishness, and that's because if you see a green dragon, that is it looks that color because those are its primary personality traits. We actually have a member of our group who's kind of becoming a dragon, and his appearance has been changing through the course of the adventure, which is really cool. I often see that in machining videos. Hot metal makes amazing colors. Yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking when doing this. All right, I'm going to do a quick. Oh, keep clicking over to the window I'm running the stream on so I can check comments, and it screws up stuff. Clean that. See, part of the other reason I decided to do a bronze dragon is I actually have a bronze dragon character that's appeared in some of my stuff, and I don't want to talk too much about him because I have players that may at some point encounter him, but I think this might be his design. I like it. He's a fun one. There we go. I'm going to do some shading now. Oh no, wrong code. Knew something was off. There we go. Oh, we go. Crap, I've done that thing where I got meditative and stopped talking. All right, let's see. How's that looking? Erase that. Very good. Let's have a folds in the wing. There we go. Now just a little bit easier to do underneath than top. Oh, shoot. Did it again. One of the things I don't like about Clip Studio is in order to get certain tools, you multi-hit the same buttons. I could probably change that in the settings, but it always causes problems for me because I accidentally hit the wrong button, and all of a sudden we're dealing with I'm on the wrong tool and I don't even spot it. That works. All right, zoom in on the feet. All right, I think for not considering myself pretty good at not considering myself very good at drawing dragons, this is a pretty good dragon. All right, I want to do a little bit of light shapes on him too. I'm going to use yellow for that. Down to 50, and I think I'll just use add glow. I'm going to turn this down in a second. That's a little too bright. Let's get it down to 25. Yeah, that's way better. That side would be more exposed to the light anyway. There we go. All right, let's see. One more thing I think I'm going to do. And this is a little experimental, so let's see what happens. Oh, no, don't want that. No. Just because this is related to Pride Dragon pins. That's not enough. Let me get a little more. There we go. And now, it's red. See if I can fan the edge a little bit. I did these all too light, so it's having trouble with it, but let's see. I also think I should have gone with a deeper green, but we'll see. Oh, that's why it's being weird. I've accidentally switched to the airbrush. Wonder wasn't blending. See, this is what I'm talking about with that stuff. Yeah, now I don't even need to switch colors. I can just blend. Oh, that's much nicer. I'm going to make that purple darker. Actually, can I just maybe... That actually looks kind of cool. I was going to tone that down, but I like that. I'm going to use a darker purple, though. I'm going to use the purple I use for shading. All right, what do people think? All right, cool. Good review. Good to know. I'm going to... Background gives it a very 3D look. That's kind of a cool way to put it. Let me try something a little weird too. This is not going to stay this way. I just need to have more of these layers. And never done this before, but in theory it should work. Wait. Oh, there's a problem. Crap. Okay, I had the wrong layers grabbed. That's why that happened. Love that you incorporated the rainbow. Well, I mean, I was drawing dragons for a pride thing. I got to represent you guys somehow, right? All right. Okay, I see where the problem's coming up. Okay, that's what I've been trying to do. See if this will work. I actually probably need to merge these two. Oh, no, I don't. Let me get it in there. Apply that. Now, crap, where is it? Okay. And now, okay, cool. I should be able to move the whole thing. Let's see if I can position this somewhere where it's a little clearer. Oh, it's underneath everything. That's part of the problem. Let's put it on top. What happens if I turn you off? How about you off? Okay. Maybe I just put it in the bottom corner. Will that be better? Yeah, most of it's visible if I put it right there. Cool. Well, that's how I give myself a rainbow signature. All right, that's gone for about an hour and a half. I do think I'm going to call it there, but you should be seeing this post around social media before too long. I'm very happy with this, and I learned a lot about how to draw dragons. So this is definitely something I'm going to have to do more often. And I'm glad I was able to come up with a way to make it more representative of Pride. So once again, the reason I'm doing this stream is both because I needed to do something when I'm not at SPX, and because good friend of the channel, Kelci Crawford, who has been in the chat and has been wonderful, it has a Crowdfundr campaign ending today to get Dragon Baby Pride flag keychains. The campaign is funded, so it's definitely happening. And there's only less than 2 days left in the campaign. So if you want to get it, be sure to back it, and we will be able to take it from there. I'm glad you liked the signature. Yeah, I had fun with that one. So if you want to check that out, links on the screen, crowdfundr.com/dragonbaby. And please go ahead and show some love, because Kelci's going through a hard time, and is a fantastic cartoonist. This is a really cool project. And we'd like to see Crowdfundr doing more, because it's good for Kickstarter to have some real competition. It does end September 18th, which is tomorrow. So get it done now while you can. So thank you very much. And until next time, let me go full screen. Until next time, rock on, guys, and never stop drawing.